I've been swimming laps in pools for years. I just got on a plane and jumped out over the ocean. If you want to swim in the ocean, practice in as many pools as you can.
I moved from Vancouver to Miami, as did you,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And I feel as though that was sort of a threshold that was crossed for myself. Threshold from my youth into adulthood. I felt like I was making a leap off of a cliff into adulthood, and stepping into the man that I'm going to be. I swam in a bunch of pools representing small, safe, contained ecosystems that are controlled and comfortable. I did a lot of that. High school is a pool, university is a pool, certain communities that I've joined, certain friend groups I've joined are pools. And I was swimming laps back and forth, kind of getting the reps in, the social reps, the work ethic reps, the moral reps, the ethics reps, all of that. Putting my skill sets to use in a contained and safe environment. And seeing how I interacted with people
Yeah.
in a small scale setting. And so when I made the leap from going Vancouver to Miami, I felt prepared because I've done a lot of training for my big leap into the ocean, as in moving across the country to a different country.
Yeah.
I leaped into the ocean, and I feel like I'm pulling from all of those previous reps I've done in my past, and it's allowed me to, I think, kind of just enter the ocean and not drown,
Right.
and keep my head above water. And I'm still getting used to the heavy currents, and it's huge body of water. It's dark, it's scary, but again, I've swam in a bunch of smaller pools. I think it's prepared me quite well for the environment that I'm in right now, and I encourage everybody and anybody, if you have dreams and high hopes to one day enter an ocean, aka the big world, the real world, I think it would behoove you to take some practice laps in a pool. Take as many practice laps in a pool as you possibly can. Join as many communities as you possibly can that are safe and contained, and where you have fallback options, etc. And that's where that quote kind of derived out of.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like in a video game. There's certain swords and guns where you have to be level 80 or level 99 to use. And if you try and use them at a lower level, they just kind of fall out of your hand. So you need to become the person who's capable of using the thing in the video game if you want to use it. And I guess that's kind of like you moving to Miami. You had to become the person who's capable of thriving in a big city and a much more chaotic environment. So how can someone figure out if, let's say I'm someone who's kind of feeling lost in life, I don't really know which direction I want to go to. How do I know whether I should be trying to swim in pools or just dive headfirst into the ocean?
Self-awareness, self-assessment, understanding where you are as a person, confidence level, social skills level,
Yeah.
independence level, competence level. That's my answer to that. Doing a valid and unbiased self-assessment on yourself and being grounded in that assessment. This is how somebody can tell if they need to swim more laps or if they're ready. You always have the outliers, and you always have the people that can jump into the ocean without proper practice.
Yeah.
And kind of just wing it and thrive, obviously with their challenges and struggles, but it's certainly possible. And I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. I think for myself, I do have a lot of confidence in my being, and with the quote that I said prior, I had all the confidence in the world without having entered really the ocean just yet. And I think it's because I had tons of practice and I was self-aware and I did a lot of self-assessment, and I made the judgment that I don't really care what the ocean looks like. I have a deep understanding of how to swim in water. Um, and so that gave me all the confidence to make strong, level-headed decisions as it pertains to picking myself up and moving to a different country. Um, so that's how somebody can know whether or not they're ready. Just doing a lot of internal work, meditation, journaling, self-assessment on whether or not they think that they're capable of making a leap. And if you can't make that determination, maybe it's not time for you to make the leap. If you don't know where you stand, maybe it's not time to make the leap.
Yeah, and I think a way that someone can figure it out is by just throwing themselves into a new environment. I know, at least for me, coming here to Miami, I've learned so much about myself being on my own in this completely new place that's, quite frankly, the opposite of where I was before, Victoria.
Yeah, this is a swimming pool for you.
That's true.
You're swimming laps right now. You're getting a taste of a different swimming pool, but it's still, you're going back and forth in a contained body of water. You haven't moved here permanently. You don't have rent. You didn't purchase a home here. You're staying in Airbnb. You still have an option to pop back to Victoria if you need. You have fallback options. Your family probably still has all the support in the world for you. It's kind of a soft, cushiony environment that you're in, but also it's a little bit out of your comfort zone for sure.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little half and half experience, and you're actually embarking on exactly what I'm encouraging people to do. You are in a new swimming pool, and it's fantastic. This is probably one of many swimming pools that you've been in and that you will be in.
Yeah.
And you're 19. When you decide that you're ready to take off the parachute or what have you, and kind of immerse yourself in the real world fully, I think you'll be prepared based on the work that you're putting in now.
It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like by finding these pools to swim in and these new environments, you learn so much about who you are and you grow at a much faster rate. Like I've noticed while I've been here, my social skills have just skyrocketed because I've been trying to talk to as many people as possible, meeting so many new people, and I've felt so much social pressure as well as financial pressure. Like I've had the social pressure of being in a new city because it's like if I don't have friends, if I don't have people to talk to, then I'm going to be lonely. So I physically have to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And I also have the financial pressure of like paying for the Airbnb, paying for food, living alone, all that stuff. And I think just having pressure in any form can be a complete game changer. Something you said that was really interesting was in order to achieve a big goal, there's a lot of self-reflection, honesty, and thought.
I do think that in order to achieve anything of worth, you have to do a fair bit of self-reflection and internal work. Absolutely. I think that's of the utmost importance. I think the world is always trying to tear you down and break you down and throw chaos and entropy at you. I think that's just the physics of the world. You as a human being, I as a human being, we're fighting an uphill battle against chaos and entropy and destruction and decomposition, etc. And I believe in order to keep our bodies healthy, self-contained, sealed, leak-proof, and moving forward, we have to do maintenance on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's what I was referencing. Internal work, deep work, self-reflection, self-analysis. It's all maintenance of the self. If we are rocket ships flying through the space, like flying through the galaxy at a high speed, you need to be able to do maintenance on your craft while it's enduring all of the friction and hardship of the galaxy around it. You can't just go through the galaxy super fast and expect nothing to break or fall apart or get eroded. So you have a whole team on the inside of the spacecraft that is essentially fixing it from the inside out. That's essentially how I draw an analogy to the life that I'm living and the life that you're living. We are spaceships moving through this life at a tremendous speed, colliding with tons of debris, tons of obstacles, hitting things, dinging things, coming into contact with other spaceships, going to battle with other spaceships, etc. And I think that, our brain, aka the little crew that we have on our spaceship, is responsible, and it is of necessity, to do constant and rigorous maintenance on the ship as it moves through this earth and this life. And I certainly believe that in order to obtain anything of worth, right? If you're on a spaceship and you want to get from point A to point B, from this planet to that planet, you have to do maintenance in the gap between. Mm-hmm. You can't just expect to set sail and cruise there, and turn your crew off essentially and just get there. You have to do constant maintenance. And so obtaining anything of worth in this life, you need to do maintenance along the way. Self-reflection, internal work, deep work, self-analysis, communication to others, all of it.
Yeah, I remember once I heard this quote that was like, if you could only have one car for the rest of your life, you would treat it so well. You'd maintain it. You'd make sure nothing ever happens to it. Like there's never a single scratch. And you'd put so much effort into making sure that car is in the most pristine condition possible. Well, it's the same with you.
Mm-hmm. We are that car.
Exactly. Exactly. So we have to treat ourselves like that. And I think it seems like we all forget that we're going to die. We all forget that this life is not eternal. I mean, this life is not eternal. You said in one of your reels, I want to go back to the person who got me to Miami. And you were saying how you found that because you were in a new environment and so much external stimulus was coming in, you were kind of losing track of who you were and losing a bit of self-awareness. Can you go a bit deeper into all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so moving to the new environment that I'm in, Miami, yeah. I'm faced with tons of new stimulus, tons of new inputs, tons of new distractions, tons of new engagements, tons of new people, tons of new processes, admin work. I have to do tons of new things. My grocery store is new. The way that I interact with the entire world is essentially brand new. New, it's familiar, but it's still new to me. And what comes with that territory of having your entire world be fresh and new to you is that you have to expend a lot of energy figuring out how to interact with all that newness. And recently I have acknowledged that fact, that I've been presented with a ton of new stimulus and I've been exerting a lot of energy trying to process it. And because I think I'm self-aware and I have cultivated the ability to acutely act on my self-awareness, I realized at a kind of a quick moment that I need to do some retraction and I need to do some self-reflection and I need to stop exerting so much energy on my external world.
Yeah.
Because I am leaving little energy to work on my inside world. And it's a beautiful thing, I believe, that I realized that, because I think it'll serve me well and proper. I think it's incredibly important that I made that realization and that I'm now acting on it. And I'm now in a new season of a more disciplined, retracted season of no tie. Like that, this is kind of who I am. And I'm going back to essentially my roots, where I feel comfortable, where I've gotten the most progress done, where I've seen the most growth, is when I'm in this state of like comfortability with my external world, which allows for a lot of energy to be put forth to my inside world. So I'm making it a priority of mine to try to exert the least amount of energy processing my external world, despite me being in a new place. I'm also getting physically familiar with my new living arrangements. My routines are getting more solidified, etc., which is certainly helping. Mm-hmm. But now I'm making a conscious and accelerated approach to, okay, less energy outside, more energy on the inside. And I'm reaping the benefits from it. I feel great. And I feel way more solid than I did for the first 2 months, 3 months of living in a new environment.
Yeah, how did you know when and how to switch the season of your life from like being more social to more of a season of no and like grind mode?
Um, I just did a temperature check on my mind,
Yeah.
like a climate analysis. The climate of my mind was chaotic and stormy, and I didn't have a lot of clarity, and I felt it. I felt it because I feel as though I'm my baseline is calm, clean, clarity, and when a storm rolls into my mind and when chaos ensues, it's very evident to me.
Yeah.
It might not be super evident while the clouds and the rain are coming down, like in that moment, but as soon as the storm passes or as soon as things start to calm down a bit,
Yeah.
I typically am able to make that discernment, and say, okay, a storm rolled in. Why did that roll in? How can I rectify it? How can I fix it? How can I make sure it doesn't happen in the future, etc. So I think to answer your question, having a strong baseline understanding of where you are mentally at your best is super important. Having a strong understanding of where you are at your best. And when you deviate from that, either through trauma, through a event, through a move, through a breakup, whatever, if you deviate from your baseline, you have to be able to make that assessment and then appropriately act on it. And I think it sounds pretty sterile when I explain it like that, but that's kind of the procedure that goes on in my mind.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Like thinking more about what works best for you and thinking about what worked for you in the past and then doing whatever that was. Yeah. And that's actually something that's been in my mind a lot lately. I've been thinking like there's a lot of people on the internet with amazing advice, but the thing is, none of those people are me. So none of the things that they did or things that worked for them, or not none, like there's a chance the things that they did and the things that worked for them won't work for me. But what will 100% work for me is the stuff that has worked for me before. So I think it's valuable to look inside for the answer and look to your past. Be like, when did I have this problem before and what did I do? What worked? Really find the answers inside of yourself rather than outside of yourself. So, like I was saying in the last podcast, I think you have an amazing level of self-awareness and like you're probably one of the most self-aware people I know. But I think a lot of people don't have that skill and really struggle with self-awareness. What do you think would be the first step for them to start getting more in touch with themselves?
Journaling.
Yeah.
Easy answer. That's my go-to answer. That's been my go-to answer for a lot of the struggles that people open up to me about, because I think that that's the foundation of true self-awareness.
Yeah.
Concrete self-awareness, tangible self-awareness. I think my self-awareness would be almost nothing if it wasn't for my journaling habit. I've been journaling strictly every single day for more than 2 years now. More than 2 years. Maybe 3. And as self-aware as I thought I was prior to 3 years ago, it was never real. I was never able to act on it. I was never able to formalize it. I was never able to cogently speak it out into the world. But ever since I started journaling, I was able to like formalize the mumble jumble that was in my mind and put it onto paper. And what that did was give me infinite and ready access to my thoughts, growth, opinions, all of that. It gave me ready and available access to it. And then I can reference it and I can look back and say, okay, I thought this at that time, and now I think this at this time. What's in between that? Growth.
Yeah.
Quite simple. And it's journaling every single night has unlocked a tremendous amount of self-awareness for myself. And it's true self-awareness as well. It's real. It's real. It's not fake because it's on paper.
What do you think's the difference between fake and real self-awareness? And like, how can someone figure out if their self-awareness is real or fake?
It's as fake as your memory. What were you thinking yesterday at 8:23 p.m.?
Oh no.
You have no idea where your mind was at 12 hours ago. Could you tell me what you were thinking 5 hours ago? Probably not.
No,
So-
not even like 15 minutes ago.
Right. What was the climate of your mind last week? You don't remember.
No.
You, if you do remember, it's a faint recollection of like a macro emotion.
Maybe like certain patterns, if there were thoughts that like kept circling your mind, but
Sure. You
Yeah.
can say like, yeah, last month I felt like overwhelmingly, in a depressed state. Sure, but that's not too informative. Like, okay, but what did you actually feel on certain days? And like when you engage in certain activities, how did you feel, etc. So that's what I mean by it's fake. Like you actually have no concept of yourself, right? Like again, you have no idea of your emotional state yesterday at any point in the day, or like what you were thinking. And if you do, like you have a good memory. Okay, then can you tell me what 2 days ago you were feeling? Probably not.
Yeah.
But you start to journal and it's like, boom, there it is. That's exactly how I felt during exactly the time that I need to recall it. So that's what I mean by real. And I believe that it's all fake until you put it down on paper because it's impossible to recall with any sort of accuracy. It's not real. It doesn't matter. Self-reflection, I think, is incredibly difficult until it's on paper because it's so hard to tell any sort of, it's so hard to analyze any growth and to have a true understanding of where you stand versus where you stood.
And I guess if you write it down, it's like, I think it's the difference between seeing this chair in my mind and seeing the chair in real life. Like if it's in my mind, like I don't really get a good look at it. It's just like two-dimensional. I get maybe like a flash of the chair. But I can't feel it. I don't know the texture. I can't move it around or like look at any of the small details. I can just get like a faint glimpse of the chair.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it as well.
So, something you said that I found really interesting was your purpose is a thin blade of light in an endless pit of darkness. Explain that one for me.
I believe that in many cases, majority cases, your purpose can be elusive. It is elusive. It requires some searching, soul searching, physical searching, what have you. And the analogy and the metaphor that I like to use for finding your purpose is you're actively searching on the hunt in a vast pit of darkness with a fucking tiny headlamp on your head, and you are searching this never-ending void of darkness for a tiny little sliver of light, a little crack in the darkness, a little chink in the armor. And I believe that it's everybody's duty to actively and honestly and in good faith search to no ends, search to all ends to find the crack of light. And I use light intentionally. I think that light is symbolic of hope, warmth, guidance, illumination, clarity, all of that. Your purpose is light. And I believe that so many people are lost in the vast pit of darkness right now because they haven't found their crack of light. They haven't found their sliver of light. I believe that I have found my sliver of light, and I'm incredibly grateful. I think I did a lot of searching. I've been through a lot of experiences, and I've been to this end of the darkness, that end of the darkness, and I've worked on my skill set of being able to maneuver the darkness better. This is also something I like to talk about. You can accelerate your ability to find your light by, if this is a video game, right? If the video game concept is your character is dropped into a dark pit and you have to find the light the quickest.
Yeah.
In the video game, you're allowed to like accrue tools. And you can build stuff, and you can build a car, and then you can put headlights on the car.
Yeah.
And then you could transform that car into a truck.
Yeah.
And then et cetera, you name it. through hard work, experiences, practice, you can accelerate your ability to find the light in the darkness. And I think that's kind of what I did. I built like a really nice sports car with fucking really bright headlights. And I was kind of just cruising around looking for my light, and I found it. And I think some people are still sitting on the floor of the darkness with a candle, just waiting to find their sliver of light. And I don't think that they're doing enough to actively search for it. That's my opinion. And I believe that could be a cause for a lot of, I believe that is a cause for a lot of the anxiety, depression, loneliness, just the veil of sort of darkness that looms over this generation and the Western culture. So I think people are completely disconnected from their purpose. They don't even know that they should be looking for it. And again, I think it's the purpose is like illumination, hope, brightness, pursuit of happiness, all of that. That's my opinion.
So when you were talking about the fact that you've created like a car, then a truck, and made it a lot easier for you to find your purpose, do you mean that you have leveled up yourself and your skill set, which has made it easier for you to find it?
Yes. Yes, I've leveled up myself and my skill set. And I've been in a lot of different scenarios. Like I've been to this quadrant of the darkness, that quadrant of the darkness, meaning like I've done this activity, that activity. I've moved here, I've moved there, I've made friends with him, I've done work with her, I've done a lot of things, and all of that is accruing tools that make my ride more efficient and accessible and faster, what have you, because I'm trying new things, right? Every little biome that I go to, I get to pick one of their tools and put it onto my vehicle and make my vehicle stronger.
Yeah.
And what that looks like in real life is like you just go test things, right? Go put yourself out there, adventure over there, move to Miami from Vancouver, open a car detailing company because they give you reference points. You said yourself you don't love the idea of detailing cars. That's great. You've gotten closer to finding your purpose, right? Because now you know what you don't like. So you've gotten closer to your purpose, right? So if you go open an ice cream shop and you love it, but you don't love ice cream, okay? You've gotten closer to your purpose. Okay, dissect what you like about that ice cream shop. Is it the human interaction? Is it the running a brick and mortar shop? Is it dealing with suppliers? Like what about the ice cream shop do you like, right? And that's how you get closer to your purpose. You try different things. So you're already on your way there, and it's great.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And yeah, I can see exactly that play out in my own life. Like with the car detailing business, there were many parts of it that I liked. Like I really enjoyed doing the marketing aspect, managing employees, and doing more work on the business rather than in the business, such as detailing cars, doing sales and all that. Like I liked more of the planning, the strategy, and the marketing aspect. And I also realized that I'd much rather own a business that's online. So I think gathering all that information has made it so I have so much more clarity on the next business I want to start and what the next steps in my, what I want the next steps in my life to be.
And that clarity will continue to stack.
Makes sense.
It will continue to stack, and you will get more and more clear on the direction that you want to go until you have it. Until you're on the path, until you have crawled into the little crevasse of light. And once you're in it, you're illuminated, and it illuminates you from the inside out. And you can tell, I'm sure you've met people who have been encapsulated by their purpose, and they're just enthusiastic from head to toe about what they're doing and what they're engaging in. And you can feel that. It's because they've been touched by the light, essentially. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Finding your purpose is a beautiful thing. I think it's one of the most important things that you can do.
I think it's all about getting comfortable in the darkness and even seeking out darkness in the form of new experiences.
Yeah, because get excited. Oh, that place is super dark over there. I don't know what's over there. Be excited about, like, my purpose might be over there. I don't know. I have to go search, right? A lot of people are afraid of the dark. But with this sort of ideology, it gets you excited to traverse into the darkness because you might find your purpose there.
Thoughtful stubbornness will take you in the direction that you want to go. Explain that one to me.
Stubborn people like don't move, like they just don't budge. But I think a stubborn person actually does budge. They budge in the direction that they personally want to go.
Yeah.
And so thoughtful, respectful, communicative stubbornness, I think has garnered me a lot of forward momentum and a lot of success. And by that I mean my ability and willingness to say no, like off the rip, like to make a discernment and a judgment immediately and say, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I hear you. I appreciate the direction that you'd like me to go, but I'm going to be stubborn about this, and I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm going to stay on my path. Thoughtful stubbornness will get you to where you want to go. Mm. I have connection with my purpose. I have an idea of where I'm going. If you try to pull me off that track, no, I won't let you, because I'm stubborn and I'm going where I want to go. That's essentially what that means. And I think a lot of people need to cultivate more of a stubbornness to them, more of a willingness to say no, more strength in their voice when they say no, and more discernment on what is and what isn't in their best interest. Become stubborn as it pertains to your own life, and open that up to whoever you deem appropriate. If you want to open that up to your family, whatever the case is, be stubborn on behalf of yourself and your immediate family. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. My stubbornness has led me to sitting in this seat right now. My stubbornness has led me to living in Miami right now. My stubbornness is a product, or has created so many positive things in my life. And all by my design to a certain degree, by my family's design, by my design. I try not to be told by external forces how to live my life, or where to go, or what direction, or what's best for me, etc.
Yeah.
It comes down to what myself and my family deem appropriate, and then okay, we're stubborn from here on out. And I think a lot of people should and can adopt a more stubborn outlook in their best interest.
Yeah, and I feel like you gain so much more self-respect when you are being stubborn towards your goals, like when you aren't budging and putting yourself first. And then that self-respect, it goes into every other aspect of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, you know what? I really think that like you should make more content talking about this stuff. Like just talking about like more mindset stuff, because the way that you think is genuinely so interesting, and it can benefit so many other people. I mean, like you don't need to, but that's just my opinion. I think like if more people heard your thoughts, the world would be a better place.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I love that you said that. Thank you very much. I love sharing my perspective on things also.
Yeah, for sure.
And I genuinely love sharing my perspective on things. And
like I'd love to see more of those notes that you were posting, I think last year.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. Well, I am in my content era. I am feeling a desire to share with people. And I will certainly share mindset stuff. That's actually like what I love sharing the most, honestly.
Yeah.
I love sharing that the most. So you'll start to see that for sure.
I'd love to, man. I can't wait. What do you think has been the biggest lesson that you've learned within your time in Miami?
Curating your environment is of the utmost importance.
Curating your environment.
Yes, so like manually having hands-on judgment on what and who is allowed into your personal space / like mind. Life design, lifestyle design. That's an incredibly valuable thing that I think I'm still working out because I've only been here for 3 months. But that's one of the biggest lessons for sure.
Yeah.
Just the concept of like only allowing certain people into my life at my own discernment. Like everything needs to be my decision because it's my life, right? Everything needs to be my decision, and that's something that I'm learning rapidly here. Is that
Yeah.
when other people make decisions for myself, that's when things get a little messy. So whether that be like who I let into my life, who I'm surrounded with, what I'm surrounded with, the place that I live, etc. That needs to be all kind of my decision, because yeah, that's the biggest lesson I'm learning. My decision is the most important decision, and it's very easy to lose grasp of that.
That's so true. I think that is so simple, but it's such good advice that so many people need to hear.
Yeah,
It's just like, don't do stuff you don't like. As simple as that sounds, don't hang out with people you don't like. Don't eat food you don't like. Don't go to places you don't like.
yeah,
And even though that is like literally the most basic advice in the world, I feel like 99% of people don't follow it,
yes,
or at least don't take it seriously.
I agree because it's easy to not follow it. It's easy. But yeah, that's part of my sort of internal reflection phase. Like this is kind of a part of it. Is kind of going back to only what I would like to do.
For sure. So, what do you think has been the best mistake that you've made in your life? The best mistake.
You think is the best mistake? Can you ask me in a different way by chance?
Yeah, I was going to. What has been a way that you failed or a failure that you've had that has ended up leading you to some form of success?
I think my failure in school,
Oh, yeah.
like in elementary, high school, middle school, my failure to perform in a rigid academic structure has served me incredibly well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are certainly all mistakes and all failures. It's like some of the grades I was getting, my attendance in certain classes, etc. Like I wasn't a bad student by any means, but I always just skated by, and I always just sort of just enough to pass. And like oftentimes I wouldn't be the nicest to my teachers, and I wouldn't have the nicest attitude towards going to class or engaging with academics. And I think objectively you could see that as a failure, for sure. And for quite a bit, like I wrestled with that, like whether or not it was a failure. But I believe that my inability to do classic academics has served me incredibly well and has led me down a path of artistic entrepreneurship, which I find beautiful. But yeah, my tumultuous relationship with school is certainly one of the biggest failures that I've had that has blossomed into an amazing life.
Why do you think you didn't do well in school?
I hate being told what to do. I don't like being
fair.
told what to do. Just the way that I was raised, certain defense mechanisms that I've cultivated, and the way that I've chosen to interact with this world, I don't place my trust into other people. I rarely do. And I don't believe that, this is something that might come with maturity, but I don't believe that other people can can make decisions on my behalf with my best interest in mind.
Oh, yeah. Why's that?
Other than my family. That's just the mindset that I've had and that I've cultivated, and that's a reason that I don't like traditional academics, because I believe that it's full of authority figures commanding me to learn whatever it is that they deem appropriate for me to learn. And that's kind of the overarching macro sentiment that I had towards school. Authority figure telling me what to learn, when to learn it by, how to learn it. I don't agree with that. That doesn't sit well with my essence. And I've chosen to push that away from me.
What has been something, or what was something that you believed 10 years ago that you don't believe anymore? Or one of your beliefs that you used to believe strongly that has shifted?
10 years ago, I was 16, so still in high school. And I think since then, I have really adopted a a new mature mindset of I have full agency over myself and that I have full responsibility over myself and that I'm in control of my own destiny and that I have to a certain degree dependence in the way of my family. I'd like to take care of my mom. I'd like to take care of my siblings. And I believe that that's a newfound perception in the last 10 years. I'm not too sure. I thought, if I journaled every night, I would have been able to tell you whether for certain I thought this or not. But I have this concept in my mind that my younger self didn't have this masculine responsibility role, and I think that that's something that has shifted in the last 10 years for sure. I think I've risen and matured into a masculine responsibility role, and I'm proud and happy to be in this role, and that's a mindset shift for me for sure in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting from like more weak and feeble and follower-esque to more strong, decisive, disciplined leader role.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's a shift that every man, or pretty much every man, has to go through in their lives. Like, no matter who you are, I feel like if you're a man and you want to, like, of course I can't speak for certain, but I get I get the impression that if you're a man and you want to live like any kind of good life, if you want to have a family or like a good income, if you just want whatever you want in life, then you have to make that transition from like feminine to masculine, or like someone who's letting life control them to someone who is controlling life.
Fire. That's it right there. That last line is exactly what that's been my transition in the last 10 years.
And how do you think you've done that?
Tons of different ways, but just living life to the fullest, living life with a conscious mind, forward center of mass, forward progress constantly, working on my health constantly. That's been a staple in my progression. Is for the last 10 years I've been constantly dialed into my health. Like there's not been a point in the last 10 years where I've been off of the health wagon. I've always had health as a priority of mine. And for sure that's been the foundation of my ability to mature and grow and accept mindset shifts.
Yeah. It really is the backbone of everything.
It's the backbone of everything, for sure.
Yeah, so I just want some advice quickly. I feel like I've always had decent health. Like my health has never been really good, but it's also never been really bad. It's always just been like kind of good. So I want to know how can I take my health to the next level? Or I think a better question would be like, what exactly have you done to improve your health? And what have been some of the best practices for you out of those things?
There's some things that I disagree with in the language that you're using, which are
Okay.
actually like everything a root cause of your. I'm making an analysis and I'm extrapolating on the word choices that you've used.
Yeah.
I don't look at like my actions as improving my health. Like I don't look at like it's a lifestyle integration. And that's my advice to you.
A lifestyle integration.
A lifestyle integration. You are changing the entire who you are as a person. It's not like you're taking yourself and then adding health practices on top of it. That's not what this is. I think the key here, and like my biggest piece of advice is how can you change your lifestyle so that you have better health, but it's also sustainable, and it becomes just merged with your lifestyle. And so it's second nature. That's the only that's the only way forward. For the last 10 years, I haven't necessarily been exerting tons of energy towards maintaining my health.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been able to do it for 10 years plus. The question is, how can you integrate certain practices, routines, and habits into your life so that it becomes second nature?
Yeah.
And so you never have to ask the question, how can I improve my health? How can I add something on? Like, it's I think what you're asking is, how can you elevate your baseline of health?
Exactly. Yeah. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, because if, like, you don't just do one thing and then your health's improved.
Sure.
You do stuff over time.
Exactly. And I think just the way that you presented that question, just like most people, is like, you think that you can just sort of add this one thing on. It's like, that's how I can improve my health. No, it's just an entire lifestyle change. I identify as a healthy person, and I act in accordance with that identification. And so all of my activities and all of my actions are in accordance with what a healthy person would do. It's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
So you need to identify with a healthy person. You need to tell yourself that you're a healthy person, and then act in accordance with that.
I mean, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. Like, make sure it's sustainable and treat it just as something I do. Or not even as something I do, just part of who I am. Like, I am a healthy person. And I'm someone who does healthy habits.
Yes. I think that's kind of the core. And then all of the actions, the micro actions, are a byproduct of that mindset. And I think getting in the gym consistently helps with that mindset shift, for sure.
Okay. I feel like that's the same for pretty much any other habit too. Like, you can't just journal for a couple weeks or like a few days and then your self-awareness and your mindset's automatically improved.
Right.
You gotta keep doing it. You gotta do it every day. You gotta be consistent.
It's a lifestyle integration. I've integrated the action of journaling into like the essence of my being. Like, I am somebody who journals every single day. It's not like an activity I just engage in. It's like it's a part of me. It's like it's a part of who I am. It makes up who I am. Just like the food that I eat makes up who I am. It's a part of me. I don't necessarily engage in things because it's healthy. I just live my life in a healthy fashion, if that makes sense. It's kind of getting a little convoluted here, but
No, it does make sense, and it does make sense. Yeah. Like just going back to what we were saying, like, you are a healthy person, so you do those things.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, I'm sure I asked you this question before because it's like the last question I ask all my guests. But what do you want to do before you die?
And I think I answered this the same way
You
last
definitely
time.
did, yeah.
I want to have kids, and start a family and live the life that I want to live. That's it. Live the life that I want to live, start a family, have kids, ideally a boy. And
Can't be a girl.
it can be a girl as long as I have a boy as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I want to do. But life design. I want to design the life that I want to live. And I don't know the life that I want to live. It comes on a daily basis. Every single day I kind of adjust my trajectory until I land at my gravesite. I don't know. It's just going to keep adjusting my trajectory, living an honest, authentic, fulfilling life with my immediate family taken care of, and then my future family taken care of. That's what I must do before I die, and I will do it.
Well, you're exploring the darkness. You're finding new things each day.
You're correct.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. That was a great time.
Thank you, my man. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Also, how can the listeners best help and support you with whatever you're doing?
Follow me on Instagram at Ty Farrago. Follow me on YouTube at Ty Farrago as well. And then my podcast channel, Thank You for Sharing, at TY for Sharing. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Let's just keep up to date on what I'm doing. Like my content.
Hell yeah. Check him out on Instagram. He has some amazing content. And yeah, that's it.
That's it.
See you later, man. Great time.